Marcus Kane had fired people over smaller things than a missed shift. Everyone on the 41st floor of Kane Industries knew it. So when he came back to the office at 9 o'clock that Tuesday night to retrieve a forgotten laptop and found his executive suite still dark, still unlocked, still visibly untouched by the cleaning crew that was contractually required to have finished 2 hours earlier, his first instinct was not concern. It was fury. He strode down the hallway toward the small supply closet where the night cleaner usually left her cart, ready to make a phone call that would end someone's employment before the night was over, and pulled open a door he expected to find empty. It was not empty. A small girl, no older than 6, was standing on a step stool pushed against his office window, wiping at a smudge near the top pane with a cloth too big for her hands. Wearing an adult-sized cleaning apron, singed and folded at the waist to keep it from swallowing her completely, she turned at the sound of the door, startled. And in the half-second before she spoke, Marcus Kane felt something in his chest go cold in a way. 11 years of running a company had never quite prepared him for, she said, in a small, tired, apologetic voice. My mom couldn't come tonight. She's really sick. I know I'm not supposed to be here, but I didn't want her to lose her job, so I came instead. Before we continue, if you believe that kindness has no rank and grace wears no uniform, please like this video, subscribe to The Overlooked, and share this with someone who needs to believe in people again today. The girl's name was Lucia Alvarado, and her mother, Rosa, had cleaned the executive floor of Kane Industries 5 nights a week for almost 3 years. A job she'd taken after leaving a factory position that paid less and demanded worse hours. Work she'd come to depend on not just for the modest paycheck, but for the health insurance that came with full-time status at the cleaning contractor she worked for, a benefit that, in the specific precarious math of Rosa Alvarado's life, represented the difference between manageable hardship and complete catastrophe. Rosa was 31 years old, a single mother since Lucia's father had left before their daughter's 2nd birthday, and she had built over the years since a life defined by the particular relentless discipline required to raise a child alone on cleaning contractor wages in an expensive city. A life with almost no margin for anything going wrong. Something had gone wrong 3 days earlier. Rosa had woken up with a fever that climbed steadily over the following 48 hours, accompanied by a cough and a chest pain that, had she gone to urgent care immediately, a doctor would likely have identified quickly as the early stages of pneumonia. But urgent care cost money Rosa did not have readily available between paychecks. And more than that, Rosa carried a specific, deeply ingrained fear that had shaped nearly every decision of her working life. Since Lucia was born, the fear of missing a shift. Her contract with the cleaning company was explicit about attendance. Structured around a point system that accumulated toward termination, and Rosa had watched 2 co-workers lose their jobs over exactly this kind of accumulation in the 18 months she'd worked there, both of them with children. Both of them left without the income or the insurance that had been keeping their families afloat. By Tuesday, 3 days into an illness that had left her barely able to stand without her vision swimming, Rosa had exhausted every version of the calculation she could make. She had no one to call, no family nearby, no network of neighbors she felt she could ask for a favor this large. No financial cushion that made losing even a single night's understanding from her employer feel survivable. She had lain in bed that afternoon, Lucia bringing her water and checking her forehead with the exaggerated seriousness of a 6-year-old playing nurse, and had made a decision she would spend the rest of her life regretting, even as she understood in the moment why it had felt like the only option left to her. She would send Lucia to do the parts of the job a small child could physically manage: the light dusting, the window smudges, the simple visible tasks Rosa walked Lucia through over the phone from her own building's lobby, where Rosa insisted on being present, too weak to do the work herself but unwilling to let her daughter go completely alone. Lucia had ridden the elevator up with her, mother's keycard clutched in one small fist. Following instructions Rosa gave her in a hoarse, a worried whisper from a bench in the lobby 3 floors below, both of them believing. With the specific desperate logic illness and poverty sometimes force on people, that this was a solvable problem rather than the catastrophic risk it actually represented. The dark part of this story is not a single dramatic event, but the slow accumulation of circumstances that made a child standing alone in a locked executive office late at night feel, to people who loved each other deeply, like a reasonable solution to an unbearable problem. Marcus Kane understood this instantly, standing in that doorway in a way that surprised him more than the discovery itself. He had built Kane Industries from a mid-sized regional firm into a company with offices in 6 cities, and he had done it by his own private admission on his more honest days. By being ruthlessly efficient about costs, including, though he had never examined this too closely, the costs of the contracted service staff, who kept his buildings running and whose working conditions he had delegated entirely to a facilities management company he rarely thought about. Beyond the monthly invoice, he did not raise his voice. He did not, as every instinct built over 11 years of demanding excellence might have suggested, ask why a job wasn't finished or who was responsible for this failure. He crouched down instead, bringing himself to Lucia's eye level, and said, gently, "Is your mom okay? Where is she right now?" Lucia said she's downstairs, in the lobby. She said she'd wait there so I wasn't totally alone. But she's really sick, and I didn't want her to get in trouble. And I didn't want us to lose the insurance because that's how we go to the doctor. Marcus felt something in that sentence. A 6-year-old's precise, devastating understanding of health insurance as a fragile, essential thing that could be lost, lands somewhere he did not entirely have language for yet. He said, "You're not in trouble, and neither is your mom. I need you to help me find her right now, okay? Can you show me where she is?" They found Rosa Alvarado on a lobby bench, pale, feverish, barely able to hold herself upright. Having spent the previous 40 minutes in a state of escalating panic every time an elevator door opened without Lucia in it. When she saw her daughter walking beside Marcus Kane, a man Rosa had glimpsed exactly twice in 3 years of employment, always from a careful, deferential distance, her first reaction was not relief, but terror. Certain, in the fevered clarity of someone assuming the worst, that this was the moment both her job and possibly her daughter's safety were about to be taken from her. By a man with the power to do either, Marcus said. Before Rosa could speak, before the fear fully finished forming into words, "Rosa, your daughter is safe. You are not in trouble. I need to get you to a hospital right now. Then we're going to talk about how something like tonight happened in the first place. Because none of this should have been possible." What followed over the next several hours moved with a speed Rosa would later describe as disorienting, in the best possible sense. Marcus personally driving Rosa and Lucia to the nearest emergency room rather than calling a car service. Staying in the waiting room himself past midnight rather than delegating the gesture to an assistant, and learning, over the course of that long night, the fuller shape of exactly how precarious Rosa's situation actually was. It's the point-based attendance system that punished illness as harshly as negligence. The insurance tied so tightly to perfect attendance that a single serious illness threatened a cost Rosa both her income and her access to treating that same illness. The complete absence of any support system built into a job that Kane Industries paid contractor to provide without ever examining the conditions that contractor imposed on the actual human beings doing the work Rosa was diagnosed with. Bacterial pneumonia that night. Admitted for 2 days of treatment that would have been under her existing employment terms. An almost certain path to termination had Marcus not personally intervened. Contacting the cleaning contractor's management directly the following morning and making clear, in terms that left no room for negotiation, that Rosa Alvarado's position and full benefits would continue uninterrupted regardless of the missed nights, and that Kane Industries would be reviewing its entire service contract if similar situations for other employees came to light. That review, once it began in earnest over the following weeks, revealed a pattern considerably larger than Rosa's individual circumstance, a contractor whose attendance policies, health benefit structure, and wage scale had been quietly optimized for cost savings that Kane Industries had never scrutinized because the invoice arrived monthly and the offices stayed clean. A system that had, in its own indirect way, made a scene like the one Marcus walked into that Tuesday night, an almost inevitable outcome of enough desperate people navigating enough impossible math for long enough. Marcus Kane did not handle what followed the way a company primarily concerned with public relations might have handled it. He did not issue a press release. He restructured instead the entire service contract for all of Kane Industries' buildings, negotiating directly with the cleaning contractor for improved attendance policies that accounted for illness without punitive point accumulation, for health benefits that did not evaporate over a handful of missed shifts, and for a wage increase across the entire night cleaning staff that he funded personally rather than passing the cost downstream. A decision his own board questioned, and that Marcus, for the first time in years, did not particularly care to justify in the language of shareholder value. He visited Rosa in the hospital twice more before her discharge, bringing on the second visit a small stuffed rabbit for Lucia that the 6-year-old clutched fiercely for the rest of that week, and told Rosa, sitting beside her hospital bed in a conversation he would later describe to his own therapist as one of the most clarifying of his adult life, that he intended to personally fund Lucia's education from that point forward, not as charity, he was careful to specify. Watching Rosa's face for the particular flinch he'd learned poverty sometimes attaches to that word, but as a direct acknowledgement that a 6-year-old who understood the fragility of her family's health insurance well enough to risk climbing a step stool alone in a locked office at night deserved every resource available to build a life with fewer impossible choices in it. Rosa, still weak, still processing the speed and scale of everything unfolding around her, asked him quietly why he was doing all of this, whether it was guilt or liability concern or something he felt obligated to do now that a 6-year-old cleaning his office had become the kind of story that could damage a company's reputation. If it ever became public, Marcus considered the question seriously before answering. He said, "I've spent 11 years building a company by being efficient about costs. I never examined closely enough to understand who was actually absorbing them. I opened a door expecting to fire someone for negligence. And instead, I found a child who'd made a braver, more responsible decision than most adults I know, because she understood exactly what her family stood to lose. That's not something I can just write a check for and move on from. I have to actually change the thing that made her decision feel necessary in the first place." Lucia Alvarado, now 7, still keeps the stuffed rabbit on her bed. Rosa Alvarado, fully recovered, still works the same building, though her hours, her benefits, and the entire structure of her employment look considerably different than they did before that Tuesday night. Different, too, for every other member of the cleaning staff across all 6 of Kane Industries' offices. A change that arrived improbably, because a 6-year-old girl once decided that protecting her mother's job mattered more than her own fear of being found somewhere she wasn't supposed to be. If this story moved you, please like this video, leave a comment, and share it with someone who needs to hear it today. Subscribe to The Overlooked for more stories of courage, grace, and the small human moments that change everything. And tell us in the comments, has a child's honesty or courage ever revealed something to you that changed how you saw the world around you?